First and foremost, thank you for taking the time to join me today. I'm excited to share with you what we do and how we do it and why we do it. First question is kind of what are you guys using now to do career assessment?
Well, to be honest, we have some outdated tools, and we're looking with the new, I'm sure you're familiar with the new WIOA regulations and the focus on careers versus just jobs. And so part of that, we know we need to really beef up our assessment and career exploration type of tools. And so I saw this and it looked very interesting. As I mentioned, I talked to the folks in Maine, my counterparts in Maine, and they've been using it quite a bit apparently and very successfully. So we're definitely interested in exploring it.
Excellent. Well, we couldn't be happier with the relationship we've developed with Maine. And I think I mentioned via email, Hugh, that our New Hampshire started using us a few months back as well.
Yep.
And so, I love New England, so it's always great to be able to work with folks on that side of the world. We're in Tempe, Arizona. So it's probably slightly different weather for me today than it is for you guys. It's going to be about 95 today.
Yeah,
but beautiful.
Here we're waiting for snow.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yep.
At least the skiers are.
Wow. Okay. So is that typical for mid-October?
No, we usually don't start getting any significant snow into December.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, let me minimize that next week. See. All right. Oh, no, I lost you. Couldn't see you. Okay. So, great. Well, then let's just jump in. The WOWI is, if you looked at the website at all, then you know that we are a little different than most other career assessment inventories, and that we look at both our aptitude, work style, and career interest all in one. It's one assessment that gives you, we'll look at some reports, and first thing I'll just kind of show you the admin dashboard and kind of what it looks like when you have a WOWI account. So as you can see, this would be your home screen. You've got some nice colorful boxes here, and then some, if you're following my cursor, you can see some tabs across the top which also correspond to the boxes. We do our best to make things as user-friendly as possible, so what you think these boxes would do is actually what they do. I don't know about you guys, but I hate it when software, the buttons don't do what they seem like they should do. If you want to contact us, you can get contact information here. There's a full support menu down here in the support box with extremely easy to read directions and follow. Most of the things that we'll kind of cover briefly today are in here at length. You've got some information in the interpretation side and kind of what the scales mean, and also information about our WOWI workshops. Hugh, when you talked to the folks in Maine, did they mention the workshops at all? Hello? I can't hear anybody.
I can't hear Hugh either, so I'm not sure.
Hugh, we've lost you.
Oh, sorry. I muted myself. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we've lost Hugh.
So I had a phone conversation, rather an email, traded emails with them, with Betsy Hopkins, who's the director, and Libby Stone Sterling, who's their workforce person. So they said nothing but great things about it, but they did not mention the workshops. That didn't.
Okay. So that's one of the things, we've done about 6, I believe, workshops in Maine this year alone, across voc rehab, Department of Labor, and adult education. So the workshops go in depth into how to interpret the WOWI. They're 2 days, and there's information regarding the workshops I'll show you here in this interpretation section. So, and I definitely encourage you to take a look at the information. The folks that go through love them. And I'm sure I'm a little biased, of course, but we get great reviews.
So Tom, can I actually view these sections without having a login account, or do I need a login account to see something?
No, you actually can. So there's a ton of information. I'll click back out to the outside part of the web right now. So if you've got access to the Wowie.com,
Okay.
and if you go to the Learn section, there's a calendar of upcoming workshops and what the workshops cover, a little bit about the leaders. You've also got some sample reports you can view here too as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I'm happy to share any information that I can. You know, obviously, if you want to take the Wowie for a test drive, we can set that up too.
Okay.
And go over your reports, or whoever you would choose to have take the Wowie. So yeah, there's great information in Learn, Explore, Assess. I recommend going through all of this.
Okay, great, thanks.
So then back to the dashboard. So you've got the kind of the rectangles down here. Key ones that you typically would use the most are up at the top. Manage users would be one that to set up a Wowie, to edit a Wowie. It's going to be right here. Taking a look at your account. So for example, in this demo account that I'm sharing with you guys, I'll take a look at it. Right now, it gives me an idea of what my balance is. I've got 13 available with 11 assigned. One thing to the difference here is that as they are assigned, they don't count against your balance until they've actually been scored.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't complete, it doesn't count against.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you can go in and delete that Wowie, after whatever period of time you feel is appropriate. Delete it, and it goes back into your available balance.
Great.
Then there's the price list is here. For some of our clients, they can order right from this screen. I know with most of our state vocational rehabilitation agencies, they don't have that ability, since there's smaller and smaller hoops to jump through to make these things happen. But it is an option for some folks.
Now, just out of curiosity, Tom, if you start, for instance, with 99 licenses and you burn through them pretty quick, and then you realize you need another 200, do you get any pricing savings as you're bumping it up, or is it just each time you order is what determines these price breaks?
The price breaks are determined by each order.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. All right.
So yeah, you see the real first price break that I want to point out is that 100 mark, because at 100 we also waive the site license fee, and I can send you a price list as well.
Okay, great.
When we're finished, because there is a site license fee to set up the account, and it covers some dashboard training, etc.
And that's waived once you hit that 100 to 199. Okay. All right. Great. Thanks.
Yeah. So going back to now, one of the things, the dashboard tab will take you back to that home page. But once you kind of get used to using the Wowie, folks probably rarely go to the dashboard, because you can get there through these tabs as well. So we're going to go into the user ID screen, which corresponded with that nice green square on the dashboard page. And this is where you spend a lot of time when you've got a Wowie account, setting things up, and just kind of gives you a list of what Wowies that you have in play. You have options of setting up a group at a time, or an individual. We also do have a paper and pencil version available. For example, in Maine, we're talking about sending some booklets out there so that they can use the Wowie in correctional facilities.
Yep. Okay.
Where the inmates wouldn't have access to the internet.
Yep.
So that option is available. So we'll take a look at the individual to set up. It's very simple to do, and you can see down here in the bottom of the ones that I already have set up. I went ahead and made some groups for a few of your offices.
Yep.
So how that happens is, well, first I'll do a group first, and I'll show you the advantage of a group. So let's say, what's another office that I did not add? And
Rutland maybe wasn't there. I didn't see, but I think Rutland.
RUTLAND?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so with a group, you give the group a name, then you choose however many users you would want to assign to Rutland, the option that you have is anywhere between 2 and the amount of available WOWies in your account.
Okay. And so as an administrator, you can set these, so I can set by office. Okay.
Yeah, and one of the things too, for some of our vocational rehabilitation partners across the country, Maine being one of them, we set up what's called a purchasing authority. So the state purchases a certain amount of WOWies and then distributes them, and then each office has their own account.
Okay. Okay.
So that's an option, but so we'll put 2 in Rutland for now. Then we choose the version that we think the majority of the group would use, and with the WOWi we have 6 different versions available for use. So there's English American Standard, which is an 8th grade reading level.
Okay.
And the 5G being 5th grade, 3G being 3rd grade. English Australian, we do have clients in Australia, so we had to change it a bit because they use a few different words than we do. And then there's a version in Spanish and also a version for the visually impaired. One caveat I'll point out is that all of the 6 WOWies are accessible to screen readers and screen magnifiers.
Great.
So that's something that is near and dear to us. But the one thing that sets the visually impaired version apart is that there's a spatial form section in the aptitude portion. The visually impaired version doesn't have that spatial form section.
Okay. Okay.
So that's more set up for folks who are completely blind.
Got it. Now, as far as administrative data and the user reports and all of that, this all lives in the cloud, correct, on your servers?
It does.
And do you have assurances around security around that? Obviously, confidentiality is a key thing for us. For sure. And we can, how you give access to the account, that would be, where maybe that purchasing authority would be something of interest to set up a different account for each office. Okay.
If you had one, some of our clients across the country have one account that everyone shares a login and password for.
Right.
That can be separated down to, some of our clients have that purchasing authority and have one administrator who has access, who then shares the reports out to the counselors.
Okay. Or I could assign a certain number of licenses to each of the counselors statewide, for instance.
Correct. Exactly.
Rather than even drilling down to office, I could drill down to individual counselors and say, give each of them 5 of these assessments. That
would be, we could figure that out.
Because at the end of the day, what you want is for them to be able to view the reports for their individual customers, rather than me managing it centrally. Exactly. That's where that purchasing authority would probably be a better option. Okay. All right. Great. Thanks.
And so once we've got the version assigned, then we have the option of making some additional changes. You've got 3 sections of the WOWi. As I mentioned, you've got the career interest activities, which is exactly what you think it would be. The career training potentials, that's the aptitude portion, and then the job satisfaction indicators, which is the kind of work style, work personality portion. You can take this out. Probably most common one that's taken out would be that career training potentials, because that's the aptitude portion, and it's the longest portion of the WOWi. It can be added in later, of course, but the career training potentials, for example, typically with high schools, oftentimes they'll take that one out.
Okay, so this isn't determining what you're getting for reports. This is determining what an individual is taking for the test within the test. Okay, great.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you've got the option of giving them access to the reports. So I would say for most of our vocational rehabilitation clients, they leave these set to no until they've had a chance to view the report.
Yep.
But the one that some of the folks that I speak to talk about that they give access to immediately is this career recommendations only, which just shows the occupations that the person's profile links up with.
Okay.
So we can.
Yeah, ideally we would want counselors debriefing this tool with an individual as part of the process with somebody.
And you do have the option of going second or third person in the interpretive report. So if you did want to share, after the counselor had gone through and decided they wanted to share the interpretive report, they can change that to second person.
Yep.
So that the login and password that the client would use. Do you use client or participant or consumer?
Oh, it varies. Consumer for the most part. I like to say candidate or customer, frankly.
Okay.
I don't know what consumers consume in our system, but that's my own little gripe.
Well, and I asked that because it seems like right now the trend is going back to participant.
Yeah.
But some states, California is consumers. Some people use client, some customer. So that's why I asked. So you have the option of giving them a second person view, which is going to change the wording, of course, in the interpretive report to more personal.
Okay, great.
And then once you've got everything set the way you like it, hit save it, and it gives us a nice confirmation that I've created these login and passwords. And that's the one advantage to using the group, is that it's going to create those login and passwords for you. The one key thing is that each login for the WowWee has to be unique. Some folks might use a naming convention that was first initial, last name, and perhaps a number. Well, if you've got a lot of J Smiths, and there can't be two J Smiths 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So it's going to create a unique login and password. And then we go back to the user ID, and we'll see. There we go. We've got our Rutland group in. And if we want to find those quickly, we can also sort by group. We'll put them all together. We can actually sort by any of these categories across the top here.
Nice. Okay.
We want to see who's logged in. All right, here are all my ones that haven't logged in yet. So these might be ones that I might go, oh, you know what? James Kirk, he has been out exploring for a long time. I don't know if you're Star Trek fans, but
yeah, I got you.
So I said, he's had enough time with this. We're going to take James out, and it's going to always give me this fail safe to make sure that I'm clicking on the right one, because sometimes we do get button happy, and so it's, all right, I'm very, very sure. Yes, I'm very sure we're going to see James is he's found his career. So so that one's gone, and now we go back to the orders to show you. Now I've got 12 available and 12 assigned.
All right, nice. That's pretty intuitive. I like it.
Yeah, it's very. Again, our goal is to make your lives easier. Why use a tool if it makes your life more difficult?
Right.
Those are the ones that stay in the toolbox. The individual is going to look very similar to what we saw if you're going to add individual, but you do have to add that user ID and password.
Okay, so you would do that administratively and then give that user ID and password to the individual.
Correct.
So if I'm trying to enter I think you said this already, but I just want to make sure I understand. If I enter a user ID as J Smith and try to save it, it'll tell me there's already a J Smith in the system. Pick another username. Right.
So I'll show. I have one of the demo accounts is under a Stephen King character, Randall Flagg. And his, it already knows his. So Red Randy is the user ID. And if I give Red Randy an update, it's going to see I can't use it.
Ah, okay, perfect. Great.
Yeah, so if I do make him Red Randy 1, now that works. And what I do, Hugh and Nancy, is when I'm assigning a WowWee for someone, oftentimes I'll just take this information right here and cut and paste it right into the email I send their information.
Yep, okay, great.
Everything can be done online wherever the customer has access to the internet. They can take the WowWee even on their smartphone if they've got one.
Yeah. Now, how about lost passwords, password resets? How does that work?
That's really easy to do. So if we go back here, to the user ID screen and Red Randy has lost his password,
Yeah.
or maybe Randall, I should say, or thinks, oh, you know what, somebody saw my password, I can go back in. Update it, and now
Okay.
he's
So the user can't reset their own password or get a password prompt. We're essentially doing it administratively.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. No problem.
Because there's no we don't ask for very much in terms of identifying information for them,
including email. Yeah. Okay.
which keeps it bias free as well.
Yep.
They're going to give their age, their education level, and their gender.
So if I'm assigning this to someone, say a counselor, they would still be able to go into that dashboard and see their users and send that user password, whatever. Okay.
Yep, exactly. So if we take a quick look here, just going to show you what Red Randy would see. I'm just going to log in as. We got that right. Oh, I didn't put it in. I was typing faster than. There we go. Now this is what see when he goes in to take the assessment.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so and are these mandatory fields they need to fill in, or is this voluntary as far as gender or grade, etc.?
It'll ask you to fill them in if you don't.
Okay. All right. Good. Because we want to capture
and then
that.
some of our clients also will use if there's a client ID number in play, they'll use that as another way of identifying.
Okay. Great.
And then for the existing one, just to give you an idea of what you see, so if I go in as the other one, which is already done, when the client logs in after they've completed it, then they have if you've given them access, they have access to view their reports.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. So again, and that's completely up to you. This can be toggled off until the counselor says, okay, I want to give access.
Yep. Great.
You want to take a look at what the report looks like?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, so we'll look at the profile report first. So this is going to give us the raw scores for the individual, and we can take a look and see when the report was done, date of birth, years of education. We do have that screen reader friendly version. Which looks like this.
Yep.
Graphic version. Okay. So the first scores are the career training potentials, which is going to give us a good idea of where Randall is at in terms of verbal, numerical, and so abstractions and so on. This gives us an opportunity to kind of get a realistic look at where he's at, so we can have a realistic discussion about the career options. For example, he's got good scores across the board. It's on a 0 to 56 scale, but definitely his highest score is in that verbal range. So we know that Randall probably good chance that maybe he reads for pleasure, likes word puzzles, that sort of thing, kind of keeps those skills sharp, because as we know, those can, if you don't use it, sometimes you lose it. Numerically, for example, I don't know much of the math that I knew in college. Because I don't do a lot of those equations on a daily basis anymore. Abstractions, spatial form, really good score. We know that Randall probably could read a blueprint or knows his way around places pretty well. Mechanical, electrical, right down the middle. Just because we score well on things doesn't mean that we like doing them. And then just because into things we like, sometimes we don't have the aptitude we wish we did. Any questions about the career training potentials?
No, this is great.
Yeah, and once again, this is a great tool for the counselor to kind of get an accurate look at where our customer is at. Then we look at the job satisfaction indicators, which is, how does Randall like to work? Maybe the first thing that probably jumps off here is he's got a lot of these strong preferences, and the highest one being objective, which means, Randall likes facts, and a lot of them. Probably a pretty good bet that Randall's not an impulse shopper. He's going to make sure he knows everything about something before he makes a purchase or makes a decision in the workplace, and he's going to like situations where he can use those facts. His corresponding score with decision making, the evaluative, which tends, it has to do with that gut feeling, intuitive feeling based decision making. He can do it, but it's definitely not his preference.
So are there interpretive guides for these indicators?
There is indeed.
Okay,
there is indeed. All of this is spelled out for you in the interpretive report.
Okay.
And as you're first getting used to doing the WOWI, the interpretive report is your best friend. Because it's going to go through each of these scores in detail and talk about what they mean, the scales themselves mean, and then what it means for Randall's score.
Right.
And there's kind of a learning curve, you guys, where for me, as when I first started, and I've been doing this for about 9 months now, the first 4 or 5, I leaned heavily on that interpretive report. And somewhere between that 5 and 10 mark, I kind of let the interpretive report go so much, and I see it now all in the profile.
Yep. Okay.
So it's a quick learning curve. A couple other things here. This -20 the only negative score, and we don't think of negative and positive in the how we usually do. It's just how Randall likes to work. So it's not a negative, isn't a bad thing at all. Not a huge drive for Randall at -21 to be in charge. Could he do it? Sure, because he's still in that flexible range. Sort of situational for him. Would it be something he'd want to do all the time or for a long period of time? Maybe not.
Yep.
Isolative and gregarious, he's going to, need a little bit more time working on his own. But he does enjoy working around others. So if he had a balance of, 5.5 hours a day of working on his own and 2.5 to 3 hours of working with people, that'd be a good kind of position for him. Any other questions about the job satisfaction indicators? Anything that you're curious about?
That's pretty good. Nancy, I'm not sure if you have any questions at all. Feel free to pipe in.
Okay. No questions right now. It looks really good, actually. I appreciate that there's lots of things here.
There's a lot of information, and we'll take a look at the interpretive report here in a sec, so you can see how that all works. Then the career interest activities is pretty straightforward as well. A lot of interest for Randall. Definitely interested in the outdoor and industrial. 56 mining, 56 machine work, 56 primary outdoor. It's a huge area of interest for him. But also he's got some strong interest in professional managerial. So, the things that he needs to avoid is the business relations. So we can tick that off of his potential list of things to pursue. His office type of stuff is not going to be, his strong suit at all. Still some situational here with managerial, and that kind of corresponds with his score up there as well. He can do it, but it's not going to be his favorite thing. Right down the middle with sales. So again, situational there, but some strong needs to pursue over here. And one thing we want to make sure here too is that his career interest activities, do they match up with what he said in his self-selected choices in the beginning? Because each participant is going to be asked to choose 2 occupational areas they're most interested in, and they're broad areas, and their best subjects in school as well. So do they match up? Yep, he's got the medicine, law, education. It's going to match up a lot with up here. Personal services, there's that 42.
You mentioned they can choose 2, but it looks like there's more than 2 on this list.
And they are broad categories.
So someone can select more than 2 broad categories then?
So this is one category.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it keeps and as and again, when I take it for a test drive, you'll see all this in action. So now let's take a look at. Go back to the reports page. We'll take a look at the interpretive report that I was mentioning. So you can skip to each section if you want to look at a particular section by itself. But going through, you've got, and this is, so this one is in the second person. So it's speaking directly to Randy, or Randall. So we got some reminders up here. And then you've got, for each of the scales and the career training potentials, you've got, what it measures and what the score indicates. It's very positive.
I was just noticing that. So it's all strength based. It's not talking about where you're
exactly.
Yeah.
Because if there are areas for opportunities, I should say, for Randall to improve, then that's part of the discussion the counselor can have. Because with the counselor, we'll see a slightly different version of this.
Right.
That talks more specifically in a third person. And I'm going to scroll through, and and again, I'm happy to share these with you if you want to take a look at some sample reports, and just anything that I can share with you, just let me know. Then we're going to go through those job satisfaction indicators. So, we sometimes we put two of them together. So versatile and adaptable, we're going to look at together. So, for Randall, a few projects going at once is fine, but really likes to get things completed. So a stable, steady workplace is the ideal environment. But the thing and I'm going to scroll down if you don't mind, the thing that most folks are the most interested in is going to be, here's the little description of the career interest activities, and we're actually in the process right now of greatly improving this. So over the next few weeks, you'll see some changes here, which we're really excited about. Is what careers do I match up with? So here is Randall's list, and it's a doozy. I'm just going to scroll down quickly to give you an idea, and we'll look at some specific ones.
The little yellow tags next to these, what do those mean? The little.
Okay. Yeah. So just this is a very lengthy list.
Yeah.
So this is not common. These are real wowies, by the way, names were changed to protect the innocent. But lots of, and it has to do a lot to it that there's a lot of interests on Randall's behalf. So what do these mean? So the sun is that bright outlook occupation, so they're showing 10% or more in growth.
Oh, okay. These are so labor market projections?
We're linked directly.
Yeah, they're from ONET. I recognize a lot of these. Like the green one is for like green jobs, so like sustainability, solar, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay.
And then the one that's
a movie icon there that I see.
So that is something that we added, and that is a direct link to the Career One Stop video for that occupation. And the reason that there are not more of them is that we've just been adding the ones that are the most up to date.
Okay.
Because as I'm sure you both know, those sometimes get pretty dated.
Yeah.
But so we're continuing to add them. But so the most up to date ones have been added. These ONET codes are live links.
Nice.
To the site. So you just click on it. I'll show you. We just click on it, and it's going to take us right to that ONET page for that particular occupation. I'm sure you're both very familiar with ONET, so I won't spend a lot of time there. And then the dining room, we'll look at, or let's say pile driver operator. This is also a live link to the Occupational Outlook Handbook.
Great. Okay.
So you've got the best of both worlds. For some folks, this is much more user friendly, and for some folks, the ONET is preferable. The way mostly the same information, just given in a different way. So you've got those links as well right there.
So if there's no icon next to the job, then it's something that's not highly ranked for them based on their preferences, what they've identified as their preferences.
No, that's the icon's just like a jeweler that isn't necessarily looked at as a bright outlook.
Oh right, no, I'm sorry. Yes, it's labor market. Sorry,
yeah.
I forgot that. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and there's there isn't these aren't ranked in any kind of order.
Okay.
But they are broken up, as you notice, in the types of training or education that you might need to do them. So we're going to go to go further because Randy had 15 years of education. So if you wanted to go on and get his bachelor's, here's some more that would be open. And I believe even go down to the master's or doctorate.
Nice.
So you can plot out that path.
Yep, that's beautiful.
Great, that would be perfect for the career pathways thing that we're starting to do. Yeah.
So I just want to do a quick time check here, Tom. It's about
quarter
of almost. So if there's some key things you want to show us, I would say take advantage of that time.
Okay. Well, that's what the reports look. That's what the report looks like. There is a third report. And this is the one that is typically shared most with the client themselves, and that's just going to be the career recommendations by themselves.
Okay.
So they have access and have the live links as well.
Yeah.
If we go back in, just to give you an idea, if we go back into the demo account, on the administrative side, what this looks like and some of the options you have. When you view reports, and as I think I may have mentioned, we can set it up to where as the reports come in, then the administrator receives an email saying, Randall Flagg has completed his report. It's available for you now, and the reports are available as soon as they hit the Score Now button at the end.
Okay.
But so you can see some of the reports that are available. You can search by last name or the group name. Which makes it also kind of easy once you start to have quite a few reports in. There's also search options to search. They stay in the recent section. Typically, most of our clients keep the completed recents for 30 to 90 days, but then they go into the archive section. So if it's not in the recent, you'll find it in the archive, and they'll stay in the archive depending on your needs, anywhere from 6 months to a year typically. We do cap it at a year just because the database gets bogged down if we don't, and then everything moves really slow. So we always recommend that folks save the reports in a PDF format as they come in, just to have in the customer's file. You can also look and see if there's anyone who's in progress at the time. So right now I've got a couple that are in progress. They've started in, or at least they've logged in. And if I want to see, okay, well, how far in progress are they? I can hit this display details, and it's going to show me all the details.
Nice.
So yeah, if you're kind of concerned that maybe somebody hasn't started yet, you can always see, have they even logged in or not, or how far along are they?
So a person can go in. I think you've already answered the question just now, but so an individual can start this test, kind of pause it or walk away from it and come back to it, and that's not a problem.
That's not a problem at all. WowWee saves your progress after every question you answer.
Yeah, and is anything timed on these tests?
Nope.
Okay, so as long as someone needs to take.
As long as someone needs to take, you've got the time that you need.
And do you know, are these sometimes facilitated? So say we're working with a person who may have an intellectual disability or some cognitive challenges. Somebody could be sitting next to them and helping them walk through this. A lot of our clients, especially in the vocational rehabilitation agencies around the country, that happens. That's very common. Okay, great.
And in fact, everybody kind of has a different way of some folks like to have it proctored, some don't. It's really it's kind of up to you and your comfort level with each individual customer.
Super, thank you.
So yeah, you can take breaks. It will, like I said, it'll save your progress. I even had a young lady call recently who was taking the WowWee at home on her desktop computer, and her toddler unplugged it
Oh,
while she was in the middle, so she was concerned that all of her work was going to be gone, and that, everything was saved up until the point where the computer lost power, and when she logged in the next time, she just started right where she left off.
so it's auto-saving all along the line.
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I love this display details feature. I use this especially if I'm going into an account maybe to help someone retrieve a password, that sort of thing. I use this one quite a bit because it's really easy to find. I just search by last name, display details, and it all pops up.
Awesome.
Then the other, if we go back to one thing I'll show you as well, is you can, so if we hit search, I'll go back. So I go back to my reports, and let's say that I want to, I know I'm gonna be seeing a few folks over the next few days from my group, and I want to print out all their reports in one file. I can go ahead and select, like I want to see the profiles for 3 individuals. I hit the print file, that puts them into one print file for me. Now as I scroll down, I've got all 3 reports in one.
Nice.
Cool.
Send that to the printer, and it prints all 3 for me, and I'm good to go.
Awesome.
What is the so say we select all 3 of the components of the test.
Mm-hmm.
What is average time to get through for completion?
45 to 65 minutes.
Okay, if you're doing all 3. How about if you're not doing the middle one? Do you have a sense of the average on that?
If you're doing, say, just the job satisfaction indicators and the career interest activities.
Yeah.
So those are both typically right around 10 minutes a piece, give or take. Some folks might take 15. Other folks might go through in, 7 or 8.
Okay.
So I'd say 10 to 12 is probably an average for both of those.
So that middle component is the one that takes quite a bit of time for that section.
This one is the one that's the one that, average range there is half an hour to an hour.
And those are more around hard skills versus career interest or
Exactly.
personality traits.
That's the aptitude portion, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And now you showed that you can select levels. 3rd grade reading, 5th grade reading, etc. Does that change what the test does for those individuals, or what's tested?
So
it's just how it's presented.
Exactly. So it's the instructions are worded at a 3rd or 5th or 8th grade level, and some of the questions are worded differently
In the test.
Yes, on the test,
Okay.
but the questions themselves are the same.
Got it.
It's just, for example, one of the eye-opening things for me this year as we were going through and testing to make sure that they were grade level, because those things change, was using ing words took something from a 3rd grade to a 5th grade.
Interesting. Okay.
So the way they're worded is different.
Cool.
So yeah, and what questions can I answer? And that can, in our remaining time, it's very, as I mentioned, it's very easy to use and user friendly, intuitive. Once you get it down, you can assign a WOWie in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, it looks really good. Looks cool.
Especially when you use the group function and you've got them kind of ready to go already, and you're just either distributing a username and password to someone or putting their name in and sending it to them via email. It's really quick.
Yeah, no, it looks really great, Tom. This is super. Thank you for sharing all this. So I think, if you have you showed me the pricing piece, but
I'll send that over.
Yeah, that'd be great. Any information on pricing? I'm going to start.